Hello. In the second video, I'm going to show you just how easy it is with the ChiWeb framework to make a page for editing, saving and deleting a record in the database. We're going to expand on the demonstration that I gave in the first video, which is this list of customers in our customer database. Well, currently when I click on one of these records, it takes me to a page that I've already made, but I'm going to show you how to make such a page from scratch. So first of all, let's look at the www folder, and you see there is the page we were just looking at, demo.esp. So this procedure, listDBContents, has this argument there, which shows what page the person will be taken to when they click on one of the customers. So currently it takes them to edit record.esp, but I'd like them to be taken to our new page. So we'll create a page called demo2.esp, and I'll save that, go back to the browser, and when I click on one of these records, it should try to take us to demo2.esp. And there we go, demo2.esp. And you'll notice that it says it adds something to the query string. It adds record number equals 28. Well, why is that? Well, that's because this first person listed here has an ID of 28. So it's trying to load up that record in this page. Okay then, so let's create our page called demo.esp. So I'm going to go to my favorite text editor, and create a new file. Okay, I'm going to save this file as demo2.esp. Okay, and I'll do the obligatory opening and closing tags, and I'll say web output hello world, just to prove to us that the page is in fact working. So I'll refresh the page and there we go, hello world. Okay, so let's now try to list the details of that record. Well, how do we do that? Well, normally it would be quite complicated, but with the framework it's actually quite easy. So first of all, what we need to do is we need to declare a string to hold this record number. So how do we get the number 28 from here into our string? Well, Equinox provides a function called webParameter. The first argument is the name of the actual variable in the query string, which is called record number, and the second argument is the name of our string that we want to save it to. So I'm saving record number into our string called record number, just to keep things simple, or confusing depending on how you view it. Okay, so now we have in the page, in this variable, the actual record number, 28. Now we've got that, we can use that to use the framework to load up the information. Well, how do we do that? Well, let's start off by creating the header. So we'll say ChiWeb header. The first argument is the title of the page. So I'll say customer details. And then we'll have a footer. So ChiWeb footer. Okay. Refresh the page just to see if it's working. Yes, it's all working. Okay, so now let's load up some of the data. Well, how do we do that? Well, we've already got the record number now, so we just need to pass that to some sort of ChiWeb framework procedure which will load up the data for us. So let's first of all start a form. Just like on desktop Equinox, when we have data we want to edit, we have to do it in a form. It's the same here. So we say ChiWeb start form and ChiWeb end form. Well, now we've got a form though, we need to populate it with data. So we'll use the normal subtable that we're all familiar with. Subtable customer, set index customer ID, find record equal to record number. If not sys error, then end if. Okay, so that will open the customer table, find the record with the customer ID, and if there's not an error, it will do what's in between the if statement here. Oh, and it needs an end subtable. So just to see if I've written any typos, and indeed I have, because it's an index, it's called iCustomerID. I'll refresh that, and there we go. To see what's happened there, we've now gained this edit mode button. That's because we've put in these fields, the start form and end form. Okay, so what do we do now? Well, I use another procedure called ChiWeb start questions and ChiWeb end questions. And into this block we can then put actual text boxes. So I will use a function called ChiWeb write element, and this takes a few arguments. The first argument is the type of element we want to show on the screen. Now I think first of all what we'll do is we'll just display the customer's surname. So I want this in a text box, so it's called text input. The next argument is the title, which will appear next to this text input box, which will be, I'll say, last name. The next argument is the name of the field we want to save it back to in the database. So in the database, the surname is stored in a field called surname, so I want it saved back into surname. And the next argument is the current value that I want to appear in the box. Now, since we're already in this subtable block, then I have access to that field from the customer database, which is called surname. So I want to load up the contents of surname. And the final argument is just some extra optional arguments for displaying, saying how wide you want the text box to be. But in this case, I'm not bothered, so I'm just going to leave it blank. Okay, I'm going to go back and refresh the page, and there we are. Record number 28 is loaded in, created this text box, and populated with the surname of record 28. So you can see all that we've done so far is, well, nothing too unfamiliar. We've created a subtable block, which we're used to. We've then said that we want to start a form, we want to start a block of questions, and then put in a text box, end the block of questions, and then end the form. There's not a huge amount of code there, yet we've got a lot for free. We've got this nice box, we've got it populated, we've got this title, and we have this edit mode button. Now you notice I can't edit this text until I click edit mode. Now I can edit the text, as you can see. So, there is something missing. Well, namely a save button. How do we add in the save button? Well, we use another function called ChiWeb form buttons. This takes a few arguments. The first one is the name of the database table, which is customer. Oops. The next one is the index, which we want to use to find the record and then save it or delete it. And that is, of course, the same. It's iCustomerID. And the next argument is the unique number of the record, which we have, if you remember, held in the record number string. And the next argument, this is where we want the user to be sent if they save the record. So I think that if they click save, I just like them to reload the same page again. So I'm going to type in the name of this page, which is demo2.esp. And the next argument, and the final one, is where we would like the user to be sent to if they delete this customer. So I think if they delete it, I'd like them to be sent to our original page which we created, which was demo.esp, which listed all the customers. If I didn't want the user to be able to click delete, all I would do is leave this string blank and the delete key would not appear. Okay, let's see what that looks like. And there we are. Delete button, a cancel changes button, and a save changes button. Let's try them out. And there we are, changes saved. Actually, we'll try it. Let's try changing some of the text and then see if that does come back. Okay. And let's see what happens if we try to delete. Are you sure you wish to delete this record? We'll click OK. And Atkinson will be gone. Delete successful. And indeed you can see, because this is sorted alphabetically, Atkinson is indeed gone. So we can click on somebody else and we'll get the same page. There we go, that's Carter. So the point is that we haven't really done much, and we've got all that functionality for nothing. Normally, if you're writing from scratch, in other words, without the framework, we would have to be writing all of the HTML to make this display. We'd have to write all the JavaScript to have that edit mode option. We'd have to write a separate script for saving the changes, a separate script for deleting the record, and all sorts of other things in between. So just by using these simple procedures from the framework, you can see how much more quickly you can create an interface for Equinox apps. One last thing to mention is that, of course, in this write element, we could have many copies of this. So, for example, if I want to put in the first name, it's simply a matter of changing a few of these arguments. I'll refresh the page, and there we are. And there's not just text inputs, there's also date pickers, select drop-down boxes, radio buttons, value fields, time fields, large text areas for multiple lines, all kinds of different options. So I hope that's given you an idea of just how easy it is to create displays of records, editing a record, saving, deleting, and all that with the framework. It really is very simple. Please see my final tutorial to see how easy it is to do cool things like AJAX searching and displaying animated text message boxes.